few months ago, I was in Las Vegas and I was speaking at a sales conference there. And after the conference, my friend Faith, my very good friend Faith, was going to be joining me, flying in the next morning, and we were going to go hiking in southern Utah for a week. So, to treat myself, the night before she came, I got tickets for the David Copperfield show. And I don't know why it's not there, the David Copperfield show. And I went there, and I was so excited to see this master illusionist who I'd followed for years, who did these impressive tricks. And the truth be told, I really wanted to try to figure out how he was doing it. So I got myself a seat, right smack dab in the middle, because I really, really wanted to figure his tricks out. And I was all set for a fun evening of watching his magic and outsmarting him. So, about halfway through the show, they had to do a set change. And during the set change, to keep us occupied, they turned on the lights, they started playing music, and they threw a ball out into the audience. And everybody started bouncing the ball from one person to the next person. And as soon as they were ready to go on and start performing the next trick, the voice of God spoke from the loudspeakers and said, "Will the person who currently has the ball please come join us on stage?" And at that very moment, the ball landed in my hands. So with 1,000 people looking at me, I stood up and I walked up front. David Copperfield was right there to meet me as I came up the stairs. And he looked into my eyes, and he's really good looking. And I looked back, and he took my hands, and he held them, and he said, "Thank you so much for being here." And I kind of melted into him, and then we proceeded, and we went to the center of the stage. And let me tell you what happened next. Suddenly, down from the center of the stage came a circle that was filled with letters and words, and hanging down from this circle, 12 feet across, were all these words. And I'm looking up, having no idea what I'm going to be doing. And he said, as we got there to the middle, he said, "What I want you to do, Jill, is to pick out the word that best represents and means something to you." So I was looking at those words, and some of them were kind of disgusting, and I didn't want to pick those words, so I was trying to focus on what word did I want. And then he said, "And we're going to do it blindfolded." So he put the blindfold on me. I've got a circle, and my job then is to walk around in circles blindfolded till the music stops, at which point I'm supposed to reach up and grab the word that's mine. So I did it. And as soon as I grabbed the word, David Copperfield is right by my side, nice and close to me. And I'm breathing heavily, and they take off my blindfold, and the word that came up that I am holding in my hands is the word faith. Now, I don't know if you remember this, but my good friend who was joining me was named Faith. And I went, how in the world did that ever happen? Like, that is like magic, and I'm right here, and how did he know? And then he said, well, everybody in the audience, hold up your arm. And they had put like Fitbits on us when we came in, and everybody's Fitbit had the word faith on. I have no idea in the world how that happened. But I do know that in sales, we can't live on illusions. I mean, there's magic there, but the truth is we can't live on magic. We have work to do, and the illusion of a good deal is not the same as really actually closing a good deal. The illusion of a good prospect is not the same as a real prospect. So we have lots to do. And for the last decade, 2 decades of my life, I've been focused on what I can do to help salespeople be better at their jobs and how they can sell more in less time. And so That's what I want to talk about today, what we can do in that arena to sell more in less time. And I'm going to get a little controversial here because right now we're here at a technology conference, and that's the first thing I want to talk about is technology. Because everybody here has like these wonderful technologies that really help salespeople save a lot of time, increase their efficiency, be smarter when they're dealing with their prospects. And here's the and that nobody is talking about. This is the controversial part. Nobody is talking about that all living in this digital world, all these technologies are coming at a cost. And we don't realize what the cost is because we are so busy working in a digital world, we don't see what's happening to us. However, every single person is feeling it because if I talk to salespeople, no matter where I go, and I have had hundreds come up to me and speak to me, they say, I am overwhelmed. I'm working from morning till night. I can't ever get away from this job. I don't know what's wrong with me, that I can't get ahead of the game. And what they don't know is that part of it is related to technology. Not all of it, but part of it, which is what I want to talk a little bit about today. The other part of it is, and this was interesting to me because I was at the CEB, now Gartner conference last year, and I said to the researchers there, I said, what are you discovering of the latest trends? For sales organization, they said the number one issue facing sales organizations today is overwhelm. Overwhelm. Wow, that's kind of what I've been hearing. We're overwhelmed, we're swamped. They're working on it from an organizational perspective where they're actually trying to help companies cut the burden on the salespeople so they don't have to do as much stuff that could be done different ways. I'm working on it from the standpoint of what can an individual do? What can one person do to get more time so that they have a life, so that they can sell more in less time? And the truth of the matter is most of us don't realize that our brains were never designed for this kind of environment. Now, I'm kind of a sales nerd, and when I get into something, I really get into it. And so for the last couple of years, what I have been doing is studying neuroscience and cognitive science and reading all this stuff about what's really happening out there. And the fact of the matter is we really are not created to live in a digital environment. This is new. This is new. This is 10 years that we've been really, really living and existing in this total digital environment. And what we don't know is how our brain works and why that matters. So I'm going to take you in a little brief mini course about our brain. Believe me, I'm not going to go deep because I don't know that. I don't understand it at that depth. But here's what I do know. In our brain, the part of us that is the smart part, the newest part of our brain with all our great thinking and all our smarts and our ability to analyze and to create and study problems and figure out how to go after our customers, that is our prefrontal cortex. It's what we need to nurture and have running the show. On the other hand, there's another part of our brain called our amygdala, which is our oldest part of our brain. And it's the fight or flight mechanism. But what the amygdala's job is to scan the environment constantly look at the environment and go, is there anything dangerous out there? Is there anything new out there? Because new might be dangerous. And this really goes back to our roots as human beings, and it hasn't changed all that much in the last 100,000 years. So we've got a brain that wants to scan the environment to protect us. And what happens when we get online is our amygdala jumps to the forefront of our brain and says, hey, there's a lot of new stuff here. I'm going to take over for a while. And so here's the smart part of our brain, unless we're really, really, truly diligent and say, no, I'm only going to go online. I'm only going to do this thing. I'm going to focus. Most of the time we don't do that. We go online and our amygdala starts looking. And here's the other deal. When the amygdala finds something new, you know what it does? The brain goes, oh, good job. Here's some dopamine. And dopamine is a feel-good hormone, so we get feeling really good because we're checking emails and we're finding this and we're doing that. So all day long we get this rush of dopamine that's making us feel good. But it's not good at all for how we're working. I'll give you an example, and you can tell me if you think that this is kind of like your life, okay? So here's a real-life example of me. This is how I work, and this is what happened to me recently. There was a LinkedIn article, And you can see the title of that article, 12 Cringe-Inducing Mistakes. I mean, what a great title, right? Anybody in sales wants to know what's wrong here, what happens there. So I got that in my email in the morning from LinkedIn. I click on that article to read it because I don't want to make those cringe-inducing mistakes. And I get to the article, and notice it has a link in the article. Well, I noticed that link to learn more, and I couldn't pass it up. And I clicked on that link, and bam, here's where I ended up. An article from Trish Bertuzzi. Reading Trish Bertuzzi's article. Now, Trish is from Boston, and so I was going to, Boston, and then I was thinking about going to New York, and then I suddenly thought, I wonder what the weather is like in New York. Ever been there, done that? Wonder what the weather's like in New York. So I go on my app, and I'm checking out New York, and I'm in the weather app, and then I see this, a toxic crash from a bus in a sinkhole. And I'm going, oh my God, I wonder what that is about. So I click on that, and then I get there and I watch the video, and you know how they feed you all that crap that's really designed to get you? Well, they got me on this next one. Seriously, I wanted to see those celebrity cases of plastic surgery that went bad. And so then I looked at all those. And then I woke up and went, oh my God, 20 minutes have gone by, and it started out because of one article in LinkedIn. Now, is there anybody else who has a life like that? I mean, come on. Okay. This is what I'm talking about that's going on when we're living in a digital world. We are just sucked into things that are happening like this all the time, and we can't control ourselves, or we can, but that prefrontal cortex, goes away when we go online. Research shows a whole lot about these interruptions. I mean, they're happening all the time. So what we have to do is we have to think about what we can do to not have our day interrupted by that amygdala that goes off task and wants us to read all these stupid things. So here's what research shows. The recovery time from any interruption is 10 to 20 times the length of the interruption. Okay, so I just went off task and spent 20 minutes reading all that stuff and looking at those videos. I was actually working on something important before I started that. Do you know how long it takes me to get my head back in the game? But that's what research shows, and this is what's happening to all of us every day. The reality of it is most of us could save an hour or two a day by understanding this and doing something to actually control it. Now, we think, oh, we're pretty smart, that we can go back and forth and it's not killing us, but we haven't thought about it. Average person spends 2.5 minutes paying attention to one thing before they go to something else. 2.5 minutes ain't long enough, you guys, to do something really well. But this is what's happening to us, so we've got to do something about it. Now, again, most people don't think they're that affected by this kind of thing, so I thought we'd do a little experiment right now, and you all need to pull out your cell phones, because we need to get you to have your stopwatch, okay? So you're going to have a partner, and I want you to get your cell phone out and turn it on stopwatch, okay? I'll give you 2 seconds to get that out. Most of you have your cell phones out. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. This is the experiment. Have you got your partner? Because you need somebody to do this with you. Okay. We're going to see if task switching impacts your brain and how much time it takes you because you're constantly jumping back and forth. So please notice there are 2 things up here. One is a sentence. You can read it. Does task switching impact me? That sentence, by the way, has 25 letters. And what you'll see below it is numbers 1 to 25. Simple enough. So for the first part of the experiment, and we're just going to do it one time. So one person is going to be the experimenter and one is going to be the timer. The rest of you can do this later on your own. So decide who's who in this group. All right, you've already decided. So here's what we're going to do. Ready? First thing I want you to do, the first person timer, when I say go, you hit go. Everybody, the experimenter, when I say go, here's what you're going to do. You are going to read the letters D-O-E-S-T-A-S. You're going to read the letters for task. You get the point. You're going to read the letters, and then you're going to count to 25. And we want to see how long that takes you, okay? Ready, set, go. Okay, I think most people are done. What kind of times do we have? How many? 12.49. Do we have people that have beat it? 19.3. 5. Okay. Okay, so now we have our baseline. Now here's the challenging part. Listen carefully, because we're going to do it. The same person's going to be the timer. That same person is going to be the experimenter. This time we're going to do task switching, and we're going to see how task switching changes things. So now your task is to read one letter and then go to the corresponding number. Read the second letter and then go to the corresponding number. All the way through to 25. And this shouldn't be hard for you guys, okay? Okay, are you ready? Set, go. Okay, you guys, I gotta call time. We can't be here. Time. We can't be here all night. Like, how much longer was it this time? Double? Triple? Okay. Huh?
You don't know how slow my browser was,
I know I don't. Here's what the point I'm trying to make is that all day long, every 2.5 minutes, we're jumping task. Do you know that the average email that comes in, 72% of emails are attended to within 6 seconds. Email comes in, boom, I'm gone. My brain is gone. Now I got to come back, get my focus going. This is what we're doing all day long, and we think we're good at it. We suck at it. We really do, and so we have to figure out how we can work so we don't suck at this kind of stuff, so we can actually sell more in less time. So I'm going to give you a few thoughts, and these are some of the things I talk about in my newest book, More Sales, Less Time, but let me just say these are just a few of the things that you can do. This is just the starter course. Okay, so what we have to realize is that our salespeople's time is their most important asset. I don't think there are any sales leaders in here who are talking to their people about their time and how they're using it, that have never addressed this issue with their sales team because nobody thinks of it. We're just so busy trying to work. But if you take a look at what is going on with the salesperson's time, what do they have to do? And the first thing we have to do is we have to help build firewalls so people don't get sucked in. Now, what does that mean? Firewall. Number 1, shut down your email program when you're done checking emails so it's not open. Number 2, shut off your stupid notifications. Shut off your stupid notifications for everything. You don't need them except maybe for some mission critical tasks that you're working on that you need the advice of other people and you're going back and forth. You do not need to know how some golfer did at the tournament while you're working on your stuff, nor do you need to know about the breaking news in the US or China. It doesn't matter during the course of the workday, so shut off anything that can take you away. And if you can, get some software applications. There's wonderful technology that helps. I personally implemented Unroll.me. Other people use SaneBox. If you haven't looked at those, you should. Since I started using Unroll.me, which takes all my emails coming in and it allows me every day to make decisions on who I don't want to receive in my main inbox, and it unsubscribes from the rest. I've been doing this for 1.5 years. I have currently unsubscribed from 1,923 emails. These are emails I am not requesting, you guys, or they're emails from people that I requested one time because I wanted something and now I don't want them anymore, so we have to protect ourselves. The other thing we have to do, we have to think about blocking time. Blocking time is if you have a meeting with a client at 9 o'clock and you've got a phone call at 11 o'clock, what are you doing in between? We have to assign time, an hour for that time, and we have to look at our daily schedule and we have to block in what we're doing. Because if we don't block it in, we fritter it away checking email, right? Or we go on LinkedIn and then suddenly the time is gone. So we have to block our time in to do what's most important. And the third most important thing, and not the third, but the most important thing, is we have to sit down every day, and before we start our day, we literally have to say, what can I do today that will have the maximum impact on my job? What can I do that will have the maximum impact? There's a ton of crap we can do, but what will have the maximum impact? So that's what we have to do in order to gain control of our time and our sanity. And by the way, again, the average person can increase their productivity at least 20% by taking charge of their time. You are spending gazillions of dollars with companies out there to get a little increase in time. We can do it by working on individuals and how we're actually working. So I'm challenging you to try some different things. Number one, try some different things and start experimenting with how you're using your time, because honest to God, it makes a huge difference. And when you start mastering the time, you stop getting so stressed out and your brain gets open and better able to think about what you really need to think about, which is kind of what I want to talk about next. Because I see a lot of unintelligent conversations out there. Salespeople saying really stupid things that they really shouldn't be saying, that are not helping their case. Now, you're probably thinking, why am I jumping from this to this? But there's a point here. Because research shows, again, I love research, that when people are constantly task switching, it affects their IQ. Now, we do not need stupider sales reps out there. We need smarter reps. I mean, I'm really serious about that. So if I told you that research shows that women's IQ goes down 5 points just by going back and forth all day long, just doing it a lot, their IQ drops 5 points, you'd say, well, that's really not good. I don't need somebody who's dumber today than they were yesterday. But it's even worse for the guys. And that's what I really need to talk with you about. Because, guys, your IQ goes down 15 points. And you do not start at a higher level than the women. I mean, so this is like really an issue. But I'm telling you, some of you are individual contributors, some of you are leaders of teams. This is an issue. You need your reps to be at the top of their game, and if they're constantly task jumping, we need to do something to control it because it's killing them. They get pinball brain syndrome. Boom, 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 boom. And then they can't think. Again, you need your people to be at the top of the game. They're going like this. What do they need to think about? They need to really immerse themselves in their buyers. They really need to know more about their buyers. This is the one thing I've seen that's the gap in just about every organization that I go into, that they cannot understand or know enough about their buyers to really have the intelligent conversations that can speed up the sales cycle, that can make things go faster, that can prevent them from getting stuck and deciding not to do anything. So that's really a crucial thing that we need to do. We need to spend more time doing this. But let me tell you what happens. When you do a buyer immersion and your reps really understand things from the buyer's perspective, then you can do the mind meld. And yes, this is a challenge you can do. You can take a look at what you're creating as a salesperson as if you were the buyer. Now, most of us sit and do our stuff as a salesperson, and we create this, like wonderful email that we're going to send out, or a great voicemail, or a beautiful PowerPoint presentation, or a demonstration, and not one of us hardly ever sits in their buyer's shoes, does a mind meld, and go, oh, if I were the buyer, how would that sound to me? That's important. Would that be of interest to me? I remember the first time I actually did that, I was targeting a company in Minneapolis. They were a software company in the retail industry, and I really, really wanted to do business with them. I spent a lot of time researching. I crafted the perfect voicemail message, and I got to tell you, I know sales, it was perfect. Then I called and left myself my own message. And it went on for a full minute. I would have deleted myself. That is a chilling factor, to find out that I bored myself so badly that I would delete me. because I thought I had the perfect verbiage. But I liked every word I had, so the next time I did it, I thought, I just got to talk faster. So I did, and I got it down to 45 seconds. And then I listened to myself, and I sounded like an auctioneer. Not good either. I would have deleted myself. I couldn't understand what I was saying. And finally, I realized I had to chop words, because if I was listening as my buyer, I needed to get it short. I needed to get it spot on. We don't do that. This is something you can work with all the time and change everything. Change your PowerPoints, change your messaging, change whatever you can, because you want your people to have an intelligent conversation. And the mind meld is the only way to do it. Now, I'm not going to stop there because I want to say a couple other things. We need to get out of our comfort zone. We really do. This is not easy to change these things. Going back to the brain loves building habits, and as soon as it sees us doing things the same way, it says, this is it. This is how we work. But it may not be the most effective way, so we have to continually be challenging ourselves to do things different. For the past couple years, I've been really experimenting with time because I really wanted to sell more in less time. That was a goal of mine personally, which actually was what started me on this thing. I spent my time doing dozens of experiments to try to find a better way to work. Experiments, and this is the thing that I think is essential that we all should be doing. We really need to spend time conducting experiments. Whatever we're doing today may be good, but there's got to be a better way. Or whatever we're doing today, it may simply be a habit, the way we've always done it. And our body doesn't like us to change. It'll fight us the whole way, but we have to step out of our comfort zone in order for us to achieve the kind of results that we want. It's the only way we're going to shatter that quota. It's not easy. I mean, I still think back on David Copperfield. I have no idea. I have thought for I don't know how long about how he got my friend's name to be pulled from the ceiling and on everybody's wrists in that time frame. I have no clue about that, but I do know that sales is not an illusion, that there's stuff that we can do in our profession to continually get better. But again, right now, if overwhelm is the number one issue, we have to focus on how we can help our salespeople be less overwhelmed, how they can use their time differently. If they're having stupid conversations, which I think a lot of them are, we can increase their success rate by focusing on that, by doing the mind melds, by experimenting and trying some different things and ensuring they know enough about their buyer. Again, I don't know how I pulled faith out of the air, but I do know that I have faith in the sales organization and what's really possible. It's been my life work. I think there's so much that can be done. And I just really want to challenge you to find new ways to start that experimentation, because truly that's where it's at today. So thank you very much.